Well, to your point about the poison dispels, I don't think anyone is happy about that. I I don't know why Blizzard would make a set of dungeons that pretty much only had poisons. I don't know their intention behind that when it comes to the lore or whatever their decision-making process is. But I think the best way to get around that is have a dungeon spread that shares dispels, so they're not just dispel and curses. I'm sorry, poison and curses like they are right
Yeah.
now. I don't like being helpless in a sense and having to rely on others. And that is kind of one of the positions discipline is in right now is we just have to have a shamans, we have to have paladins, and it's to kind of complement our spell book. But yeah, with fear, like at least when I'm with my students, the way I approach it is every poll has a best place we can fear, and that's something I've loaded into my UI. So it isn't as good. It doesn't work on everything, but it definitely does have a place. And I think being that that's one of our weaknesses, the more we can bring a well-timed fear to a group, the better.
Okay. And then let me ask the question in such a way. What do you tell your students if you are in a situation where you're bugging and you end up in Arakara and there's no poison dispels and you're in this cringe situation where you have to deal with the poisons? What is the advice
To,
there?
to be fully transparent and honest, I would just say don't get in that group. Like something I tell everyone I teach in WoW is you have to have your appropriate dispels in party, and you kind of just have to know which dungeons require which dispels. So if you get in an Arakara and there's zero poison dispels in group, it honestly just needs to be reformed, and that's kind of the state of WoW right now.
Yeah, and this is what annoys me a lot because basically you're introduced to a problem in the dungeon and you don't have
Hmm.
the solution. And
Yeah.
people say, like you're saying, okay, let's reform. But I think that Blizzard just needs to do a better job designing these things because, especially with me, because I don't have a team, I pick all of my keys.
Hmm.
Once you get to a certain level, let's say like 12, 13s, 14s, then there's just that many less keys at that level. So there's less pucks in
Hmm.
general. And you
Hmm.
don't have the luxury to like reform the group. You know, you spend 10, 15, sometimes 20 to 30 minutes waiting in LFG just to find people.
Yeah.
You know, we're not
Yeah.
talking about shaman or something that can dispel poison. You're just looking for people, man, because they're not there.
Yeah.
And then you get your group, you go into the dungeon, and you're faced with this problem that doesn't have a solution. And the
Yeah.
solution
Yeah.
was like 20 minutes ago when, you were forming groups. So you're kind of screwed at this point. Um,
Yeah, I do wish it was more evenly divided between what are they? Disease, poison, curse, magic?
yeah.
Yeah, I wish they were more evenly, split up in our keys, but at the moment they're not, and yeah, just that what I would do is if I was in a group like that, I wouldn't do it. At least with our Kara in particular, those poisons are so damaging.
Yeah.
You have to have I mean, I would say you have to have at least 2 in party, 1's not enough.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Especially on hierarchies. But yeah,
Yeah.
so I guess do you have like a different solution? Looking forward, of course, the season is basically over. But
Mhm.
instead of reforming the group, do you have some cooks or some cool ideas that Blizzard can implement? Because I think they do this from the perspective, oh, we want every class to be unique, every class to be different, and everybody brings something to the dungeon. Which is
Mhm.
fair, but if you don't have that thing that needs to be brought to the dungeon, then your key's basically bricked.
Yeah. Well, it could be wishful thinking, but something I've heard around the community is an idea for a healer to be able to dispel anything. So, like for priests, we're only magic and disease. If all healers could dispel anything, I think that might be a pretty easy solution, or at least a step in the right direction for a season like this.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I don't know if they're gonna do that because that kind of
Right.
loses the uniqueness of the dispels.
Yeah.
Um,
Wishful thinking for
yeah,
sure. Yeah.
yeah, but I would also love to see that, especially from bugging perspective.